and black. You laugh and say, good God, are you crazy? Without enough heart. What's flowing like broken glass in your ears? But against all odds it starts to make sense, and you feel we were selfish and now together think of everything we could be. We could be great.
Living out someone else's life when we didn't choose.
Well, time has a funny way of changing what's meant for you. And if we can move on, we'll all a little walk down all these things we could be. We could be great. We could be. We could be so great. We could be. More whatever you need to, she says, not too much. You gotta keep her head in the game right now when you lose that crush. And if we can learn from what we messed up last time, we'll know everything we could be. We could be great. We could be. We could be great. We could be.
Asked her if she'd stay a while. She said that's really not my style. I might be here for tonight, but baby I'll be gone in the morning light. Take me away to my favorite place where I don't have to grow up and stay this young forever. Baby, can you play this game? So are you too busy growing up to be something you don't wanna be? Anywhere except where you gotta be tonight.
Alrighty, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Araya SimSpeedShop Cup Series, race number 14 of the regular season. Well, scratch that. Race number 2 of the playoffs, race 14 in our 17 race season. We're live in Richmond, Virginia for the 11 Life in Virginia 180. And I'm Maris Levy, your lead announcer. Joining me in the booth, as always, is executive producer Harold Darner. How's it going, Harold?
Not too bad, man. You know, Richmond, not too far from me. Maybe a little bit more for you, but only a couple hours, maybe three hours, I think, yeah, from where I'm at. It's awful cold here, even though it's not cold on this racetrack.
No, it's not cold. Not just yet. Well, at least not in the iRacing world, but in real life, it is absolutely cold. Wouldn't surprise me if there's snow on the ground. So we'll take a look at our weather really quick, presented by Lottie'sTravelWorld.com. We've got partly cloudy skies, although the sun will be setting, and we'll be racing under the lights here at Richmond in just a moment. Air temp 78, track temp 81. Boy, would that be great right now.
Yeah. In the sim, we are March 1st. So we're about a month away. You know, like in the month in the future. You know, it's like back to the future, you know, as we say.
Hopefully the future is correct with this.
Yeah.
So our humidity was 56%, and the wind was from the south or from the north. It's from some direction at 8 miles an hour. Dylan Young should be joining us in the booth in just a moment. We'll see if he joins there, but yep, there's the rest of your weather.
Yeah, it threw away too
56%
quick.
humidity, and southwest winds at 5 miles an hour, and that is never changing.
Yeah. Well, you know,
So this
it's
is
been
race-
definitely an interesting track this week, though.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of controversy. Questionable finishes, questionable cautions. It's got everything's happened except for I think except for a car going upside down, and we almost saw that in our practice session here just a few moments before we went live with Garrett Heath. I mean, anything seems like it's possible to happen here in Richmond, Virginia. So as we look here, we got about less than 8 minutes left in our practice session. Still waiting on a couple of our playoff drivers to show up. Don't believe we'll see the 15 of Cameron Hearn. Cameron Hearn was suspended last week at Atlanta, along with the one of Nate Trito. And Trito in the session, second on the practice charts, but no Cameron Hearn tonight, and I believe he made that known in the Discord. So don't expect to see Cameron Hearn, and don't expect to see Davey Hendricks. As I mentioned last week, he was race time decision with a broken foot and was caught up in that big wreck last week at Atlanta, and seems like that broken foot is just too much for him to overcome and express some discomfort after Atlanta last week. So we probably won't see him for the rest of the season.
And understandable. Looks like Jordan, I thought I was looking at Jordan Martin at 02 had a black flag. He's been a race, so he's good. Just checking on that kind of stuff. You know, it's interesting. We were talking 22-second laps was the big laps on these Cup cars. I actually had an official race in the Dallara 18 here this week, and we're putting in 17.8 seconds around this thing.
Wow.
And they were a handful. Tight in, loose off, which is the same thing I'm watching with these NASCAR cars. Is, you know, you can get them woed up, they get down, they hunt the bottom, but once you come off of the banking, the transition into the straightaway causes the car to get in a loose condition or an oversteering condition, and the right rear wants to come around on you.
Absolutely, and one thing that's been it seems like a following trend the last few weeks, turn 2. It's been a handful for some of these drivers over the last few weeks.
They all want a Coke. That's what it is, or a Papa John's pizza. They're all. Some dudes order. You want one?
Yeah, so that could be a recurring issue here for tonight. And really quick, want to take a look at our point standings going into tonight's race, because there are a couple of drivers who are going in with a good enough cushion where they can make it. As we see there on your picture, the only one locked in is Garrett Grant after getting his first win in the SimSpeedShop Cup Series last week at Atlanta. And then Eric Weiland and David Weishart both with a comfortable margin heading into tonight's race.
It was like only 15 drivers, so Heath is almost locked in as long as he has a top 10 night. but definitely the first 3 are locked in by starting basically. But then Hendricks, which is not going to be
really
here,
bad
so
lag on my end.
Hendricks is not here, so that's going to be
If I
gonna
leave
drop
and
him
rejoin.
down. So yeah, we're having an issue with our buddy there, our Hunter. So he's going to come back in. Hunter, you back with us? Hunter will pick up here in a minute. But Davey Hendricks in 5th spot. He's not going to race anymore, so he's going to relegate out. So that's going to open a spot. We'll put Jacob Bell up into the top 8. But then Patterson and Delonte Ballard have the ability to move in with good nights tonight, was if Hallman, Robertson, or Ware have issues. So Hearn and Hendricks pretty much done. So they will fall out of the top 8. But we'll keep an eye on this throughout the night as we are in the elimination for the round of 12. 4 drivers will be sent in on the bench going into next week at Michigan. About 4 minutes left. In case you missed it last week, let's show you our race wheel ride.
This pace car makes a hard left turn on the pit road. 140 laps slated for us. The SimSpeedShop Cup Series playoffs underway at Atlanta. Oh, she bang! She bang! She bang! There you go. That's for you, Gary. Oh, car in the wall back there. Looks like it's Blair Patterson. Had contact. Oh, and Brad's Law in the wall too. He's spinning in the grass.
Ooh, right there. Yeah, I think number 5 at Grant came up on him a little bit. Lowest average finish in the last 3 races, and look at him sitting second. Number 1 playoff driver on the board as far as not points, but in terms of just results here. So we got a huge, almost pile up in the back group here. But
we do got contact in the back. The 0-2 going into the wall. That's Ryan Hartz. No, sorry, that's Jordan Martin. Ryan Hartz is in the 0-3, and then we got another car spinning just in front of him. No caution still. These guys are below the white line, and it looks like that's the 91 to Blair Patterson. And then points leader Davey Hendricks also involved. Huge playoff implications this could be.
Yeah, it's
And
0-2
just
contact in the middle, 3 wide. Yeah, what's I think stood out most to me in this race so far is that the top 13 guys are within 2 seconds of each other.
Oh, contact! Ballard in the wall with Zachary Taylor. Caution comes out for the first time in Atlanta, and another one of our playoff drivers is involved. On the 24, Taylor comes down into the 21 of Ballard. Jacob Bell running currently on a laptop. And we saw him, he had struggles last week at Charlotte.
Into the wall.
Oh, and as soon as he mentioned it, he's spinning to the inside wall out back. Oh, he saved it.
And no caution.
Wow.
No caution, and I just jinxed Jacob Bell for that. I'll take the blame on this one, Jake. My bad.
I was about to call him playoff Jake, and then he puts it into the second turn wall there. Saved by Mr. Bell there.
The speeds of the car and then just building up momentum like we see the 12 of Wyland trying to do on the outside looking for the lead. He's going to shut the door, and the 12's going to cut down low. Side-by-side battle for the lead heading into turn 3.
Yeah, off of 2, I think, is where you get the most run off the high line there, and Wineland was coming fast, probably about a 4 or 5
close to making contact with Garrett Heath. That was close between the 12 and the 23. He was coming up, and it was so close for making contact. That could have been bad.
Otherwise, it's just the car is unhappy. It's just bad. That's just not a good thing. I would say no.
See the 23 of Garrett Heath currently leading. Delonte Ballard scraping the wall back there, keeping the car from spinning out. This could be the battle for the win here. Grant to the bottom and Heath on the outside. A pair of Garrett's going at it for the win, potentially. As the 5 of Grant passes Garrett Heath, and they come across the stripe with about 26 laps to go. Got a late charge here as they come off turn 4. Garrett Grant's going to come off the corner and win his first SimSpeedShop Cup Series race at Atlanta. Tyler Hallman second, Wineland third. They come off the final corner just behind those guys. Close battle at the end. It's going to go to Weishart fourth, Garrett Heath fifth, and then Adam Robertson coming home in the 6th position. But first career win and a secure spot into the next round of the playoffs for Garrett Grant. He wins tonight at Atlanta.
All right, welcome back to our live coverage. That was our race recap from last week. I'm having a little bit of technical issues with the audio coming from my commentator and Hunter Sleppy. With about 2 seconds left in practice, we'll head over to qualifying here at Richmond. All right, so they're starting out tonight. Looks like Nate Trito, one of the first drivers out onto the racetrack in the number 1 machine. Piloting his Chevy ZL1. It's like 14 drivers have connected. A little bit on the high side there. We have Delonte Ballard now taking to the speedway. And the number 21 Toyota. Has his Camry coming around to take the green flag for his first lap. Delonte Ballard, top of the board, 21.569. Coming around for his second timed lap. Delonte Ballard currently on the top and sliding off of turn 4, which we might see a lot more of later tonight. Jordan Martin now taking laps. Nate Trito to the top at 21.377. You're talking about it off air at the corners here. Change in the banking as you come off exit. So tight in condition and a loose off. So these guys are going to be battling that all night. First lap to Jordan Martin there at 21.837. And him to the top 5. Around for his second lap here, Jordan Martin and then a 02 Toyota Camry. Oh, and another, see, is that everybody's having issues coming off of 4 tonight. That loose off condition. So David Weishart, one of our in-car drivers. So let's show Dave Weishart on the track and at home. He's piloting that machine there. Be his in through his look there as you see the sun setting on the backstretch here on his lap number 1 as he dives it into turn number 3. Rolling that car down. I think we might have Hunter back into the booth here. Coming to the start-finish line. 22.
Mobley.
Mobley had a little bit of in and out. 21.458 for Mr. Weiser. Puts him in second. So here we got Eric Wineland, another one of our drivers in the in-car system. So we'll try to get him, his little in-car there. And you see him with a big microphone in his face. He calls the races with me on Wednesday nights. Had a full booth yesterday with Gary Wells and Jacob Bell as well. So and Hunter is connected, I guess, through his cell phone, so we might be able to hear from him a little bit. See, that loose off condition on 4 has bit a lot of drivers here in qualifying, has ruined their second laps.
Intriguing to see.
So we might be seeing something like that happening tonight. Bryce Senesac on track in the 09, looking to take his second lap here.
Yeah, I think I'll be rejoining on the computer shortly.
Okay. Bryce Senesac up to the 4th spot. On track now, Scott McClendon in the number 29 machine. Picking up his first green flag wrap now.
Alrighty, I'm back.
All right.
Goodness gracious, what a scare that was! And we were live Monday for the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series and saw a number of early yellows, including Gary Lewis, and mentioned that it's better to get your issues out of the way early than later on in the race. And I think I got all my issues out.
That's right. Before we even started. Yeah, but so Scott McClendon spinning off a turn 4 resets the car to take his lap. So he'll only have one lap to get in. But turn 4 in qualifying has become one heck of an issue here. Drivers coming loose off the corner and spinning down towards that infield grass area.
He's got McClendon there going on. Gonna start his qualifying run. So as we see the top 5 consisting of 3 of our playoff drivers. One of those being Weishart, Delonte Ballard, then the other one being Garrett Grant, winning last week at Atlanta, securing his spot into the round of 8. So we know he's guaranteed a spot.
Sorry about that. I was adding stuff for the broadcasters and jumped into the wrong channel for a second there. Like, not sure how did broadcast staging get above us? I don't understand that. It used to be below us, so I'll have to check that later.
That is something interesting. Yeah, it'll definitely have to be talked about later. But right now, Scott McClendon looks like he'll only be 9th on the board. And we get to the 45 of Chris Seidenfeiden.
And that nice little silver chromatic number in that 45 machine.
Seidenfeiden won the Charlotte race, the last race to get into the playoffs, and we see him getting a little sideways there through turn 4 with a little drift.
Yep.
So we have a little bit of time left for some late goers, if there are any. I don't think there's any, really. I think everybody else has put down a qualifying time. So, Harold, as we go into tonight's cutoff race, we're looking at some drivers that are on the outside looking in, those being Delonte Ballard. Looks like he's got a good run going in qualifying. He's 8 points out. What's he got to do to make it into the round of 8?
Well, we know that Davey Hendricks is going to fall out of the 8. So that's going to open a spot up. So I believe who is in the 9th. Let's pull that back up one more time and talk to our viewers a little bit about this. And so we know Jake Bell's going to move his way up. So he needs to keep himself in the top 8 of tonight's drivers. But Delonte Ballard, to make up 8, he's going to have to put himself in a top 5 condition and hope a little calamity hits either Hallman, Robertson, or Weir.
I'll say one more thing I see. I don't see Blair Patterson in here.
Oh, that would be so Patterson's also so out will be Hendricks, Patterson, and Hearn. So only one driver. So between Bell or Ballard wouldn't make it in. So we just got to keep an eye on the 77 and Delonte Ballard. And you might as well watch Hallman, Robertson, and Ware, because they're also in that group, not being too safe. But I think Heath is pretty safe in the 7th with 7 points in his pocket. So there's only one. It's 1 point per position. There's only 16 cars. That's 16 points by winning. Leading the lap gets you a point. Leading the most gets you a point. Pole position gives you a point, and 0 incidents is a point. Those are 4 bonus points capable out there. So Jacob Bell putting himself on the 10th spot. So we pull that back down and got Garrett Heath finishing up some laps here.
Yeah, Garrett Heath looking like he's going to qualify P12 for the moment. He enters tonight's race 7 points above that cutoff, 4th in the standings. I feel like if he just has a solid night, there is still a possibility where he could potentially not make it, but hoping that he has a good run. So he skirts it coming off turn 4, a little sideways there, and looks like that'll do it for him. He was the car that we saw just before we went live. Absolutely KO the inside wall heading into turn 3 and flew back onto the racetrack. That little opening you see there on the bottom of your screen, that's what he hit. And he flew across the racetrack because we were looking at another car coming off turn 2, and then all of a sudden you just see him bouncing in the air like, what? How does that happen? But we're hoping that doesn't happen in tonight's race, although that could happen. Oh, and it looks like we got a couple more late goers in there. Christian DeBoer and Ed Robertson, along with, I believe, Brad Slaughter. So it looks like we'll have 16 drivers in tonight's race. And your starting lineup for that race, we'll have the pole sitter. Sorry, my thing just froze. Nate Trito looking like he'll be on the pole after missing last week's race in Atlanta. And then starting on his outside is playoff driver David Weishart. Row number 2, we're going to find the 52 of Tyler Hallman looking to keep his solid run going in the playoffs, along with Delonte Ballard starting 4th. Coming into tonight's race, 8 points outside of that top 8. Row 3, we'll have Bryce Senesack in the 09, and alongside him, starting 6th, is the 5 car of Garrett Grant, who's the only driver guaranteed a spot into the next round of the playoffs. In row 4, Danny Ware in the 18, and alongside him, Eric Weiland in the 12. Weiland enters tonight's race 19 points to the good, and Danny Ware enters tonight's race only 1 point to the good. And then row number 5, Scott McLennan in the 29 returns to the Cup Series. And then Jacob Bell going to start 10th, and he's 1 point outside of that top 8.
With Davey Hendricks being out, I would put him in at this point. So the 02 Martin on the inside of 6. Outside of him is Mr. Heath in the 23. Seiden Fodden in the 45. Inside of 7. Outside him is Brad Slaughter Jr. in the 81. Inside row 8 is Mr. Robinson, and outside of him in the 56 is Christian DeBoer, Ed Robertson, and DeBoer did not put in lap times.
Now, those two joined in pretty late, according to my knowledge. I didn't see them at the board just yet, but Ed Robertson comes into tonight's race 3 points to the good, and he had a really good race last week at Atlanta. Really nice run. Almost had a top 5, but really, really solid running last week for Ed Robertson.
You know, good run for him. And these guys, we watch the guys in yellow. Only 8 of them can advance into the next area. And if you say Patterson's not here, but Hendrickson's not here, and Hearn is not here. So that's 3 of the 4 drivers that are going to be eliminated. So 1 driver on the racetrack will not make it. And who is that going to be? You got Delonte Ballard, Jacob Bell, Ware, Heath, and one more.
Tyler Hallman and Ed Robertson. Those are the
Hallman
others.
and Robertson, right? Yep.
There's your playoff picture. Just a little glimpse of it before we go green, because that is for sure going to change after tonight's race. Got 180 laps slated for us here at Richmond, although it has been a interesting, chaotic week with the low field here. I'm sure that we'll see some long green flag runs, or hoping for some long green flag runs. Because the last broadcast I was a part of, there was a wreck on lap number 1.
Yeah, and we had that last night as well. So 80 laps is what I'm seeing. Maybe some guys could stretch it to 82 or so. If you're Eric Weiland, it might be 85. But they're not going to be able to get to halfway. So they're going to probably break this up in thirds. So, you know, talking about 60 laps. So I'm thinking we'll see people at 60. It'll keep a tire set as well on in reserve. So we're getting ready to go here.
And right before we go green, we're going to go ahead and make our picks. Harold, who you got?
You know, I'm thinking the number 3, David Weishart. I think he's learned enough this week and starting to get a little bit more patient and starting to work the fuel strategy better.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the 52 of Tyler Hallman, his teammate. I just feel like he's on a strong run right now in the playoffs, and he'll continue that run heading into tonight's race at Richmond. Pace car pulls into pit road. Nate Trito and David Weishart lead the field to the green flag for 180 laps. 4 drivers will go home out of the playoffs after tonight's race at Richmond.
Trito out to a heck of a start on this jump. 3 car lengths ahead of the number 3 there.
They work their way into turn 3. It is Nate Trito followed by Weishart. Hallman getting a little loose on the inside there with Delonte Ballard to his outside. Trito Trito is going to lead the first lap. Now Bryce Senesac looking on the outside of Tyler Hallman for that fourth spot. And right behind those two, Danny Ware needing every spot that he can get because each spot is 1 point.
The 09 a little bit loose
Oh.
off the corner. He's able to keep it corralled it up. Hallman gets the position. Delonte Ballard fastest on the track.
And Delonte Ballard entered tonight's race -8 from the top 8. And as you mentioned, he probably needs a top 5 run to have any shot of advancing, although a win would really be nice for that 21 car. Still early on, though, very early on, completing lap number 3, going on to lap number 4, and anything can happen at any given moment. So we look towards the back here with Bryce Senesac and Danny Ware battling for that top 5 spot. Senesac on the outside, Ware on the inside. Then further back here, Jacob Bell looking to get past the 5 of Garrett Grant for the 8th spot, and he'll clear him coming off the corner. Boy,
Pretty
they're
much
still
single
side by
filing.
side for that spot.
Yeah. Couple positions are side by side, but the rest pretty much single file. With 180 laps, these guys are going to probably let themselves get into a tempo and get to that first green flag pit stop before they start changing anything. Might try a few things to see if they got something for later, but I think they're going to calm it down a little bit. Yesterday, we saw a lot of issues early and a lot of sporadic yellows. Only 3 drivers were able to get the bonus point for no incidents.
There is that possibility you could get 0 incident points here at a short track, although it feels like at some point you're going to make contact with either the wall or another driver or have a speeding penalty of some sort. Can still happen with 0 incident points as we look right behind the 29 of Scott McClendon, a battle brewing between Jordan Martin in the 02 and Chris Sion fighting in the 45. Nate Trito pulling away to about a 4-car length lead from the 3 of David Weishart with Delonte Ballard right behind. And you saw a couple laps ago, Tyler Hallman went to the top of the board for fastest lap of the race, currently in that 4th spot. So the top 4 have driven away from the rest of the field because of the side-by-side battle between Danny Ware and Bryce Senesac, although that is now subsided.
There right ahead of Scott McClendon is Garrett Grant, who showed us last week his capability of protecting his tires through the long run. So see if we can do that here as well on the short track, which also is notorious for tearing up tires and causing you to slow up early. That right front tire will be burned off pretty quick.
Yeah, I would assume it'd be burned off pretty quick too if you're running the outside. And we saw the continuous battle for 5th between Danny Ware and Bryce Senesac. What is that going to do for a car on the outside? Like, say, Eric Wineland right now, as he continues to try and battle. Like, if he stays on the outside here, is that going to tear up the tires even more?
It depends on how he's using the throttle on his car. If he's able to back the corner up and let the car drift into the corner, he's not using that right front. But he'll be able to keep more momentum. But if he's pushing the car through, basically it's causing the car to slide the track, then he'll be hitting his right front more than he would if he went down low. So it's basically on their style, because you'll see Garrett Grant, he backs the corners up and is able to put the car anywhere he wants to and keep that right front underneath him. But Wineland going backwards in a hurry this week for this race already.
Yeah, he lost a spot to Jacob Bell there for 7th, and now battling the 8th spot with Scott McClendon and the 29 down there on the bottom. Looks like he's going to let him go off the corner, but then he opens up the door for Garrett Grant. Now that turns into a battle for 9th, and they'll let him go going into turn 1 and try and diamond it back on the bottom, or continue to get a run and see what he's got.
Yeah, he'll be able to get on the throttle because he's up on the higher progressive banking. And so he's able to get on the gas quicker, and it's not as drastic because you walk the car up the track, and that's where that loose off condition is accentuated by coming from the bottom up to the top, and because you have to have more steering input to get the car to turn and stay on the bottom, where the number 12 only has to turn it a few degrees to get the car to turn, and then he controls it with his throttle with his foot. So conservation, I think, is what the 12 was doing by hanging out high, but I think he's tired of losing spots, so he's went back down to the bottom.
Yeah, as he's back on the bottom now, right below Jacob Bell. One player driver that we need to keep an eye on as he entered tonight's race, 1 point outside of that top 8 cutoff, because there are 4 drivers that are going to have to go home, and we already know who 3 of them are going to be.
Right now, we're looking at total. You see all the drivers, only 15 cars started. All of the drivers in yellow are playoff contenders. So you got Weishart, Ballard, Hallman, Ware. That's the top 4 in the 4 of them in the 5. And then you got 2 more with 8th and 9th, 2 more 11th and 12th, and then Robertson, the final one. So that's a total of 9 playoff drivers in the race. So they're all fighting to make sure they're not the lowest point getter tonight of the 9.
Yeah, right now that would be. I'll say right now that would be Ed Robertson, the 64. So now he just moved up a spot in the 13th right there, just behind this group of cars, led by Eric Wineland.
But he has a few point buffer though, so that's as well. So like right now he'd be ahead of Bell, and Bell would be out because of how far Delonte Ballard has moved up. Because we were talking about the only 2 below the cutoff line that are even here are Ballard and Bell, correct?
Yep.
So like right now, I would think that would be Bell would be out as if it ended right at the moment. But lots of things going on right now. So looks like things are tightening up between Trito and David Weishart up here.
Yeah, this has been a top 2 that's pulled away now from Delonte Ballard and Tyler Hallman. In the beginning, it was a 4-car breakaway from the rest of the field. Now it's just a 2-car breakaway, and Weishart keeping that within 4 car lengths between he and Nate Trito.
If I was David Weishart's crew chief right now, I'd be telling him, make sure you just hit your marks, race your race. Don't worry about the guy in front of you. Keep to the pit strategy. Let the fuel and everything work out. We got green flag pit stops and well over 160 laps left. Or right at 160 laps left.
Yeah, as we mentioned, there's 80 laps for the fuel run here, anywhere from 80 and above that could hit. And then we have 3 tire sets also. So we're going to have to make at least 2 pit stops on the night. Just depends on when you make those stops.
When you see the fallout already, the guys were pulling 21.8s as the best laps. Were already at 22.5s. So 7/10 fall off in just 25 laps.
And it's only going to get worse as the run goes on.
Yeah, it could be as much as 2 seconds at the end of this.
Back-to-back weeks where tire fall off is pretty steep at these racetracks. This last week we were at Atlanta, which is notorious for chewing up tires, and then Richmond, also notorious for that. But next week we go to Michigan, and that's probably going to be some more somewhat pack racing that we'll see. But we'll have to see then what the tire wear does.
Some of the series will, like the truck series, will deal with Michigan like a super speedway, because they will be pretty much able to keep their foot in it the whole way around the racetrack. This is a 2-mile racetrack. The Cup cars and the Xfinity cars, not so much. Even the ARCA cars are going to have to contend with braking and lifting. Now, the thing about Michigan is it's deceptively bad on tires because of its old type surface and all. So there is going to be fuel and tire management at Michigan. Probably one of the better tracks, I think, for a total overall crew chief strategy. So, I would see like a guy like Wineland who studies those kind of things having an advantage in a place like Michigan.
We'll have to see if Nate Trito will return to Michigan for the following week, because He has been a driver that's won a couple of races this season in the SimSpeedShop Cup Series. He's won back-to-back races, one on a road course at the Daytona road course, and then won the following week at Darlington for the Southern 500. He's always been a driver to watch out for whenever he's on the track.
Yeah, like I said, I don't put a lot of stock in I ratings, but he is the highest I rating guy on the racetrack with a 6.1K I rating, which basically means out of the drivers that he races with on the service in an open lobby, which basically means open anybody, he's better than about 6,000 of them. Just to put it in perspective, I have a 2.2K. He's 3 times better than me.
Yeah, then the driver right behind him, David Weishart, with a 4.5.
Yep. But those numbers are deceptive, because if you got a guy who only, like, I'm pretty sure Weishart majorly races just league racing and doesn't do many officials, that number may not change. So you get a high number like that and then don't race in the open lobbies, that number doesn't move. One driver I talk about a lot is Jack Roush Jr., who is an actual pro, and his road course I rating, the last I checked, was like 1,800, and I think I had a better one at him at one time. But, you know, he doesn't do any open lobbies. He basically only does, you know, stuff with Roush Performance Esports. So it's why he doesn't get any more, you know, ups or downs.
It looks like we got a battle in the back for the 7th spot. We've seen a flip-flop between Garrett Grant and Scott McClendon. Then right behind those two, Chris Seinfeld in the 45, following in hot pursuit. So a 3-car battle heating up for that 7th spot, but I've seen it the past couple laps on the ticker. Just flip-flops between Garrett Grant and then Scott McClendon.
Yeah, that's a good thing. The ticker moves around. It means it's not broken. I like it.
Looks like that's starting to stabilize now. And then just in front of these three is the battle for 5th. That's looking like it's starting to heat up once again between Danny Ware and Bryce Senesac. And those two are making ground on 4th place driver Tyler Hallman.
Ed Robertson's also catching up with Garrett Heath here as a playoff driver against another playoff driver. And look at that in front of them is Wineland, not too far ahead.
Yeah, Wineland holding on to that 10th spot at the moment. Oh, and Garrett Heath sideways after contact from Ed Robertson. He saves it coming off the 4th corner, and we do not see a caution, but we do see a 3-wide battle. Almost. Jacob Bell thought about it, but backed off. Man, oh man, that was a close one, but a little bit of contact here in the back, racing for that 11th spot.
Yeah, Garrett Heath received that chrome horn from the 64, was able to collect the car back up. So he's going to be wise, just back it up a little bit, let the tires cool off, and then mount a charge if he can. If not, he'll be reminded that he might have to wait till we get the first set of pit stops in here, fix those tires, and then come back. He's sliding off the corners.
Yeah, he is really loose coming out of that 2nd corner right now. We're going to ride the in-car cam in. Oh, my goodness. You just saw him turn to the right on the straightaway.
And that's that loose-off condition I was telling you. So he's tight in. He's really having to fight the car to the left, to the left, to the left. And then see how he has to snap the car off to the right? He's fighting that off condition. The car wants to come around on the right rear. And like right now, he's so much input on that left, and then he's got to snap it to keep it to go straight. And that's where I was saying that Eric Wineland, when he was running higher, he wasn't having to put that much steering input into it. Like you see, all the way 90 degrees to the left to get the car down.
Yeah, and you see that orange tape on the steering wheel. That's basically the center of the steering wheel, showing that it's stabilizing. So when you see that jerk over to the right side of the race car, or jerk over to the right, that's when you know you got a handful on you. So we'll see it here coming off turn 2, as it looks like he's slowly starting to stabilize out the looseness of that race car.
Definitely much better for Heath, but man, he was definitely having a hard time there for a while. And I think he's going to move up the racetrack, maybe up a half a length or maybe a whole car length to help fix that, so he's not having to hurt him, to have that issue, or maybe drive it way deeper. Like that was a late apex for the 23 in that corner. Whoa, big!
Whoa!
big
He's
slide.
really loose, really loose. Oh my goodness, he needs a caution bad. He's
sliding
just trying to
all
hold
over
on
the
to
place, and Jacob Bell is just like, "Don't wreck in front of me. If you hit something, stay, so I can get around you."
Yeah, Garrett Heath needs to not wreck that race car. He only entered tonight's race 7 points to the good from the 8th and final spot in the playoffs.
And I was thinking he was pretty secure with 7 points, but not for sure here.
If we go back up front, I was going to say the battle for third really heating up once again as Danny Ware is really close now to the 52 of Hallman, as they're actually side by side coming off the fourth corner here with Bryce Senesac right behind the two.
And it's a battle for fourth here. Delonte Ballard is all by himself in third.
Yeah, Delonte Ballard's got the third spot. He's got a comfortable margin in front of him and behind him, but behind the two, Danny Ware, the 18 on the inside line, and Tyler Hallman trying to use that outside line to get a run off the corner.
Yeah, Delonte Ballard is just along for a Sunday drive. He's just watching the laps tick down on his console.
Danny Ware coming off turn 2, looking like he'll clear him for that fourth spot. And now Senesac going to look at the inside of Tyler Hallman here as they roll through 3 and 4.
And Danny is basically taking the whole corner. And I'm not sure if he doesn't see or doesn't hear or know that Hallman's there, because he slid up both times like there was nobody out there. And Hallman's right there, so he's diving all the way to the bottom, too. So
I'm going to say, catching this group of 3 is the 5 of Garrett Grant. He's starting to reel in some lap times that are faster than the 3 cars in front of him.
And Garrett Grant 2:29 last lap, and these guys in front of him are in the 23s already. Garrett Grant was the fastest car on the track that lap.
And you mentioned it, Harold. He's pretty good at conserving those tires, as we saw last week in Atlanta. He jumped down to about a 6-second lead there at the very end when he got the win. And it looks like he's starting to replicate that tonight at Richmond.
Yeah, this is a very big tempo track. So you get into a groove of lifting and braking to get the car to turn. And then you have to be really careful about when to get on the gas. Because as more rubber gets put down and as less rubber is on your tires, the car acts differently. So what you could do with fresh tires, you might not be able to get that done later and end up losing the handling in the car. And that's what we saw pretty much happening to Garrett Heath earlier. Go back here and take a look at how he's faring now, as he's still sliding that rear end around. And if I was him, I would almost be thinking, hey, I think we need to do an early pit stop for this one. I was saying 60 laps, 50 is not too far away.
Garrett Heath still riding around in the 13th position on the racetrack, as we have now officially completed 50 laps of our scheduled 180 laps here tonight in Richmond. For the Love and Life in Virginia 180, we actually got a car on pit road. It's the 45 of Chris Seinfeld.
Scheduled pit stop here at lap 51. In a short pit is what I'm looking at him.
And we could see some of these other drivers hopping onto that trend, and maybe even the 23 of Garrett Heath. But the one of Nate Trinos pulled out to a lead of 1.2 seconds over David Weishart. And then right behind him, Delonte Ballard cruising in the 3rd spot with Danny Ware 4th and Bryce Senesac 5th. As now we move back here with Eric Wineland and Ed Robertson, as this battle starting to heat up now for the 9th spot.
A lot of wiggling by Robertson coming off the corners. You see him fighting that wheel, going to jump on the inside of him. Let's swap Robertson following Wineland through the corner here.
It wasn't that bad there coming off turn 2, but it was really noticeable in 3 and 4, or exit turn 4.
Maybe he knows we're on his camera, so he's taking it easy. You're like, what are you talking about sliding? I'm doing just fine. So 14-4 for Chris Seidenfaden. That puts him down a lap. That's actually pretty good to only go down a lap here. It took 39.8 seconds from the beginning to the end of pit lane. Plus he has to, get up to speed and go down. So to only go down a lap under green flag conditions, a heck of a job by Chris Seidenfaden and his pit crew.
Oh, and the next car down pit road is Garrett Heath in the 23. No surprise there.
He's like, I need tires.
Would expect some tighten up to do on that 23 car, whether it's with the.
Oh no!
Oh, and he slid his pit box.
That's gonna hurt.
That is really gonna hurt him, and he only entered tonight's race 7 points to the good. And then with him having the night he's currently having, he's not gonna be in that top 8 for too long.
See Heath coming off.
And now the 0-2 of Jordan Martin has just gone on the pit road. So one by one, these guys are starting to go down pit road.
Jordan Martin looks like he was disconnected. That's what I'm seeing here. So we'll see if that happens because I'm showing him in the gray, which usually means there's a disconnection for him. He said he was having issues possibly because he has a storm in his area. So you see, he's all over the back bumper of Robertson with those better tires. He's like, just get out of my way. He's 2 laps down. Garrett Heath is at a 43.7 second lane to lane because he pissed his pit box and had 15 seconds in the box. Yep, Jordan Martin continuing to fall further back now. I just haven't seen the official report from the service yet, but I expect it to be coming soon. His quality's down to 26, which is not good. Garrett Heath.
0-2. Jordan Martin with a possible disconnect as we see Tyler Hallman enter on the pit road.
Yep.
So one by one, these guys are coming down pit road, making their stop one at a time, which is really interesting because I would have assumed that at one point we would have multiple drivers down pit road. And just as I say that, David Weishart's entered pit road.
Yeah, this is
Danny
the lap
Ware,
I say. It's
Bryson
60,
Stack,
60
Grant,
laps.
yeah.
This is right where I was saying 60 laps, but there are going to be some guys that are going to stretch it.
Yep. Nate Trito staying out. Delonte Ballard, Scott McClendon, and Eric Weiland have all stayed out. And now we'll see the leader, Nate Trito, come down pit road.
Ballard's coming with him. So McClendon and Wineland ended up doing.
McClendon's going to stay out another lap along with the 12 of Eric Weiland. We have the jockeying going on between cars coming down pit road for their service and cars staying out. Coverage of tonight's SimSpeedShop Cup Series playoffs at Richmond is brought to you by Northern Capital. We would like to thank Russ and Steve Anderson of Northern Capital for their continuous support of the Northern Capital Check Series and from all of us here at Araya, which you can catch next week's broadcast Tuesday night at 8:40 Eastern on the Araya Twitch channel.
See, right behind him is Mr. Weishart. He has fresh tires.
And the car in front of him, Nate Trito, just got off of pit road. He does have fresh tires also, so that gap is closed. I'd say it's about stayed the same, or it might have grown a little bit for Nate Trito.
Trito
So
over Weishart is 1.4 seconds. Yep. 45 up on is another car with fresh tires. As you see him get around Wineland, trying to get around McClendon now. So I wonder if these guys can get to the 90 laps. If they can, that man, I don't know how they're able to, but maybe that's what they're trying to do. That's halfway is 90.
So we see a swapping for the lead going on now. Weiland is taking the lead over the 29 of Scott McClendon. Then Jacob Bell currently sits in third along with Christian DeBoer. I believe those top 4 have yet to come down pit road.
That's correct. Yep, they're all 4 been out there since the get-go.
He's got 14 laps on his tires. The 45 of Seinfeld does. He's currently running in the 7th spot, and the 2 cars in front of him who have recently come on the pit road, and Nate Trito and David Weishart. The gap between those two about 1.5 seconds. You see the drivers now going to the inside of the 29 of McClendon. That's Danny Ware and Delonte Ballard, both of which are, well, they're not quite there to get their laps back as 18 closer than the 21. So Wineland is the leader. Gotta be careful here if you're on newer tires. You don't want to slam into a car that's about 2 seconds slower than you with 60 plus older tires. As we see field navigating their way around that.
Yep, looks like Wineland's going to try to get himself all the way to the halfway mark if he's able to do that. And we go green throughout this entire thing. That could be one heck of a pit strategy if the call is right. We'll see. As a driver, I can tell you though, this is the part that you're questioning your strategy as you see guys just whip by you. You know, even if they're a lap down, you're like, they're just passing me like I'm sitting still. Ballard just caught the back of Weir. This is a lap down, or not? They got their lap back the hard way, huh?
Indeed, yeah. Ooh, excuse me. It's those two running on the racetrack, running in the 8th and 9th spot. Then right behind those two, Tyler Hallman, Garrett Grant, and then Bryce Senesac. The last 3 cars on the lead lap, all running 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Race leader Eric Wineland. See him over there down at the corner here towards the back stretch as he's completed 70 laps so far. He's 20 more. If he can get those 20 more in, then hats off to his crew with their calculations tonight. We'll see.
It seems like it's possible.
Trying to hear if he's clutching or doing anything special. You know, Darrell Waltrip used to say that how you race short tracks is like putting an egg underneath that throttle pedal. Easy in, easy off, right?
Yeah. Easy in, easy off. All right. So the 12 of Wineland currently leading, and he entered tonight's race in the points with a 19-point cushion. Very substantial margin. Actually, it's the highest for a driver without a win, playoff driver without a win. And he got his first win and second win, both back-to-back, winning at Las Vegas, and then in a fantastic photo finish at Auto Club. He'll be a driver to watch out for next week as we go to another 2-mile track in Michigan.
Michigan, a heck of a track, but unique of its own right, as he lets Ed Robertson by. 74 laps down. So the top two, Eric Wineland and Scott McClendon, have not pitted, and then now Nate Trito and Weishart got it around Jacob Bell.
Yeah, and Trito has opened that gap between him and David Weishart by about almost 3 seconds now.
David Weishart dealing with the lap car of Garrett Heath. A little bit of a tap there, and you see the 3 sliding around, and Jacob Bell looking to the high side. You see Garrett Heath's back end beat up a little bit, like he's had a few people push him. We did find that Jordan Martin did have a connection due to a connection issue. So right now we're looking at only 14 drivers on the racetrack.
So 1 driver out, and that being Jordan Martin. 14 on the track, 13 of which are on the lead lap. So we see the 1 lap car, and Garrett Heath still loose there, coming off turn 2.
And he's having a really hard time here at this short track.
I think he's going to bring it back down pit road, and he is.
Garrett Heath has been black flagged. I'm not sure why. Maybe Gary Wells can let me know.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if he clipped that orange box there going low through turn 3 and 4 because we have seen that before.
Just gonna ask why, because it was an issued black flag. It wasn't given by iRacing. Maybe they'll let me know.
All right, so that is something we will keep you guys updated with the information that will be given.
The admins basically said that Garrett Heath, when he was in front of the faster car of the 3, got on the brakes and caused the 3 to get into him. So call it brake check or ARCA brake. So he got a black flag for that, basically for not yielding the spot, basically. If that's the call from the admin tower.
So there is the explanation for the black flag given to the 23 of Garrett Heath, as in the middle of that, the 29 of McClendon came down pit road.
Trito now passing the 12 of Eric Wineland, who's still on that, trying to get the 90 laps here. I said 80 was pretty much right. See, if he can get the 90, I'd be very surprised, because that would be crazy.
There is the 23 of Garrett Heath now coming off of pit road after servicing his black flag. I'm not sure if it was a stop and go or a pass through.
Not exactly sure what he gave him, because I'd have to look it up, but it may have been a pass through or just a yield, because you can give him a black flag and then erase it though. Again. So yeah, possible there.
Oh, I'm not really sure what's going on with him, because he just went through the apron there.
Yeah. Keep an eye on there, and looking at Wineland here and see if he's going to go out pit lane, but he looks like he's not. Let's see if we can get an idea. Kind of look at Heath. Heath is now down 5 laps. So that's going to hurt him.
One of Trito passed him, and he's going to come back down pit road again. He's actually going to stop.
And disconnected, it looks like. Yes, he is manually disconnected. Some cars looks like they're all couple coming down. Jacob Bell now down.
Yeah, Jacob Bell, Christian DeBoer down. Those two coming out for their pit stops. The only one that has yet to make their first pit stop is the 12 of Eric Wineland. So the 23 of Garrett Heath disconnecting. He entered tonight's race 7 points to the good, and after I think his tempers got the best of him and just decided to park it. So we'll have to see where
that's going to probably put him out.
Yeah, I would say that might put him out of the playoffs.
Because that's going to put him in a 14th position. You know.
It is something we will have to monitor.
So, yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, it's still possible he had a 8 point, wasn't it? Or 7 point to the good.
He was 7 points to the good.
Yeah. And Jake was 1 point back. And
Jake
Ballard
was 1 point back.
So
Delonte Ballard was
points.
8 back. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. Because right now Ballard is in 5th. That's 9 points change, which is not enough for him to push Heath out. It'll be interesting to watch, but here's Wineland continuing. He's on 90 laps and making a monkey out of my pit crew. He's saying, what do you mean I have to pit twice? I could pit once. And that's what he's going to do.
He's actually in a bad spot. Oh, yeah, that was really close. Really close. I was going to say, it's going to be difficult for him to get down pit road, but he somehow made it work. I mean, with the 56 of Christian DeBoer right behind him.
Wow.
Nearly a caution that just occurred there.
So Wineland is on this one-stop shopping for the 180 laps here. And we go green, it could benefit him to the point that he can pull one out that way. We'll see.
That's something we'll have to keep an eye on.
Because Trado and them are going to have to pit again.
Oh, yeah, everybody's going to have to pit again at least once.
Yeah.
So while the 12 of Wyland actually just completed his pit stop, so he re-enters 11th, one lap down. We'll take a look at our halfway rundown presented by Swift Lifestyles. Fans, be sure to visit our sponsor Swift Lifestyles for clean supplements to help improve your focus in gaming. Use the discount code on your screen, AREA iRacing, AREA iRacing, for 15% off your entire order. We would like to give a big thanks once again to Swift Lifestyles for their continuous support of the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series. So Nate Trito getting the job done. He's led the most laps tonight. He's driven away ever since the drop of the green flag. Only time he hasn't been in the lead really has been through the green flag pit stops. But other than that, after his 1 week suspension served from missing Atlanta and due to his incidents at Charlotte, he's come back in a big way and is leading the most laps. And who knows, could get the win.
Definitely.
And the driver right behind him. Oh, go on.
I would say he definitely could. He's showing a commanding lead here, and he'll make sure that nobody can punch their card to the dance with a win.
Yeah, and that includes the 3 of Weisart, who entered tonight's race 18 points to the good. He's the highest out of all our playoff drivers at the moment, but he's been second fiddle to Trito, but having a good night so far in that 3, and he's in a very comfortable position where looks like he might be making the round of 8.
Well, I believe David Weishart will be making the round of 8. I know he's wanting to have a good night, and I'm sure he's really wishing he was up front to get some laps to make it even better. But, he'll take that car to the next week with a second place, I'm sure, and look at a championship run is what he's looking for.
One driver looking to continue their championship hopes is the 18 of Danny Ware. He entered tonight's race only 1 point to the good, needing about every point that he can get, and every spot is 1 point. And he's currently running in the 3rd spot right now, so a very solid run for that 18 car. Exactly what he needed, and looking to keep that run going. So driver just behind him, another driver needed a good run, Delonte Ballard in the 21. He entered tonight's race 8 points below the cut line, but he's in an interesting position now with Garrett Heath disconnected from the server, Davey Hendricks missing tonight, Cameron Hearn missing tonight, and then Blair Patterson missing tonight. That could put him in the round of 8, but only time will tell. And he's currently having a solid run in that 4th spot.
And currently, you got to look for Danny Ware, but Delonte Ballard are going to try to get a couple extra points as soon as they get the bonus points. But Danny Ware and Jacob Bell, both of them are going to have a good night over Ballard. Ballard's really starting to do a good job here. Bryce Sinisak, not a playoff driver here in the 5th spot, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Pretty quiet night, but he's been in the top 5 all night in his 0-9 machine.
Yeah, he's had a interesting battle for the 5th spot, but that's pretty much where he's been all night. And then right behind him, that 5 of Garrett Grant coming off last week's win at Atlanta. He was the only one for sure guaranteed a spot heading into tonight's race, but obviously after the starts made by Weishart and Weiland, those two are also looking like they're going to be moving on. But Garrett Grant is here logging in some laps at Richmond. Then right behind him is Sampson teammate in Tyler Hallman. Hallman had a really nice run. He's currently on a 2-race top 5 streak, or actually a two-race podium streak, as we talked to him last week at Atlanta, then the previous week at Charlotte, in which he needed a good run there to make it into the playoffs. And he's making the most out of those top 5s because he is currently inside the playoff picture, and he might be making it to the round of 8, but only time will tell, and anything can happen here at Richmond. Driver right behind him, Ed Robertson, entered tonight's race only 3 points to the good. He's finding himself in the 8th spot, coming off a 6th place finish last week at Atlanta. Looking to see if that 64 can continue his playoff push, as he's still running in the 8th spot at the moment. Now we move over to 9th place, and Chris Seinfein in the 45. He won the Cup race at Charlotte. Really haven't heard much from him. He's kind of been in the back portion of this field. So far, he's staying in the 9th spot with, I believe, 0 incident points. I could be wrong, but I haven't heard too much from him all night. And then the driver behind him in the top 10, the first car 1 lap down, Scott McClendon in the 29, very close to making it into the playoffs from Watkins Glen. Then needed a win at Charlotte to get in, then missed last week at Atlanta because he did not win. But nonetheless, he's back, and we always enjoy seeing Scott McClendon in the 29 car racing, and he's currently 1 lap down. So if a caution were to come out at any given moment, well, specifically right now, then McClendon would be the beneficiary of the lucky dog. And that was your Top 10 rundown presented by Swift Lifestyles.
Yeah, and Eric Wineland is behind him some 4.5 seconds, trying to get to where he's the first car 1 lap down.
As I say, going through that rundown and then looking back at the points, Eric Wineland had the highest point margin coming into tonight's race at plus 19. So maybe a call for strategy as to why he pushed it to lap 90, trying to do this race in 1 stop.
We know that he's been able to do something with the fuel and conservation to make my numbers look bad each week. We thank you for that, Eric.
He always seems to find a way.
He does. And I even put I put the Eric Wineland buffer in there, and it still doesn't work.
So it seems like the 12 has his strategy figured out. Now, whether that will succeed as up to the field, as we are approaching the last 70 laps here at Richmond for the Love and Life in Virginia 180. Race number 2 of 5 in the Haraya SimSpeedShop Cup Series playoffs, where 4 drivers will go home after the checker flag falls. So looking back here, that battle for 4th starting to heat up now with Senesac closer to the bumper. Delonte Ballard.
And behind them is lap car of Jacob Bell.
Yeah, Jacob Bell, the 3rd car, 1 lap down. And then right behind him is a car in the lead lap, and Garrett Green running P6 still.
Jacob Bell going up underneath the 09. Got the freshest set of tires, I bet. Yep, 26 to 51. So, definitely a little bit.
Quite a
there.
bit.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah.
Oh, Seinfein's on pit road.
Yep. It's about right because remember he pitted just after, let's say, 50 laps.
Lap 50.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's 63 laps on this run, roughly, or 50. So we'll look at him, see what he does. But, he'll have to stretch it out here for a little over 60 laps to finish.
We have seen the fuel run played by Eric Wineland in the 12. If he can go 90 laps, then the rest of the field can stretch it to lap 90.
I think they'll all be fine. Yep, they'll be fine. Basically, they all need to pit this one more time except for Wineland. Everyone else needs to come down one more time for servicing. I'd expect them to get tires and fuel.
And now we're watching this play out, and it's going to turn into a 3-car bound. Speaking of the 3-car, David Weishart gets on pit road. Yep. Lap 115 for the number 3. We'll have to see if any of the other takers come down pit road, because a lap after he came down pit road, the 1 of Nate Trito also entered pit road, but it looks like he's still on the racetrack leading laps.
Yeah, this group here is pretty much the only real battle on the racetrack. Everybody else all spread out.
Now we have only 7 drivers on the lead lap. Scott McClendon still the first driver 1 lap down. So if a caution were to come out, he would be in the lucky dog position.
Weishart came down a little bit earlier than the 60 laps of last time. Not sure, maybe he just decided he would like some fresh tires. Expecting maybe a late race caution, and he'll still have a set of tires for that.
I would like to bring in the F1 terminology and undercutting or uppercutting the 1 of Nate Trito, maybe trying to do a little trickery on the 1 to see if he can get around him if he pits earlier.
Yeah, the short pitting, long pitting of of road course racing, definitely a big difference than in NASCAR oval racing. But it does have the advantage of getting on the racetrack with a faster car, but you also have to come into how long did it take you to get on pit lane, and off.
And then at some point, the tires do even out, and the freshness wears off. And especially at tracks like Richmond and even Atlanta last week, the tire wear can go pretty quick. Looks like we'll see the 21 Delonte Ballard come down pit road.
Yeah. We were talking before the race about different disciplines. NASCAR is a specific, and oval for the most part, and even on road courses, there's only one type of tire. In F1 series, as you were just talking about, they have the different tire compounds. The softs, the hards, the mediums, the intermediates, the wet tires.
We got a good bit of drivers now down pit road, including Bryce Senesac and then Garrett Grant. We see Nate Trito down pit road, Danny Ware also. Bryce Senesac, Garrett Grant, Ed Robertson, so the top 5 at the moment currently in, along with the 52 of Tyler Hallman, who is expected to leave his pit box at any moment right now. Scott McLennan back on the lead lap, but just let the 12 of Eric Wineland go by with the fresher tires. So Eric Wineland back in the lead. It's now Delonte Ballard rejoins the racetrack.
Yep.
As look at that undercut from David Weissart. He's now in front of the one of Nate Trito.
Yep. Like I said, you watch different things. So, like you said, watching F1 though, you also got to think about the compounds. So you change the compound maybe into a faster tire.
Yeah.
So and then that's where it really comes into play.
Yeah.
Like you switch to the faster tire, and get out there and make it work.
Yeah, especially after seeing battles from Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, where it seems like all year they would try and one up the other by pitting just before the other and playing mind games with each other. But it was very interesting to see that play out throughout the year, and looked like that's what the 3 of Weissart did. Although now the 1 of Trito has just gone by the 3 of Weissart yet again, so a half-second margin at the moment between the 1 and the 3.
6 laps different between the 2 of them.
Could see some conservation in the tire wear from the 3 of Weissart.
Yeah.
Or the 1 of Nate Trito just being that quick.
As it is interesting with Brian Senesac fastest this lap. But interesting, we saw the different dimensions. They said the F1 drivers, they also have a lot of car control at their fingertips, which the NASCAR cars, very little. They can change the brake bias in the car, and that's pretty much it.
A huge difference in technology with the F1 car and then the NASCAR car currently.
Yeah, the F1
even
car,
with the next gen.
Yeah. The next year is going to be interesting to see we'll have the single lug hub wheel, which will change the pit strategies quite a bit because they won't be on pit lane as much anymore.
Won't be as much and it won't be as long, and we also won't see any loose wheel penalties or loose lug nut penalties, because if your one lug nut is loose, then your day is pretty much done.
Yep.
Now we head back up. The battle for the lead. So might not be much of a battle. This is the 1 of Trito. Down low on the 12 of Wineland, trying to go on that one-stop strategy, and he's going to allow the 1 of Nate Trito to go by, and Trito retakes the lead here on lap 128.
Well, that pretty much seals the deal, I mean, because Wineland's not going to come back down unless there's a caution, and Trito's already got his fuel and tires for the end.
As he's basically made his bed, and now he's got to lie in it.
Exactly. Everybody's got their eyes on the clash at the Coliseum coming up. See the debut of the new car.
Sunday.
That's right.
Yeah, well, not only to see the debut of the new car, but to see racing inside the LA Coliseum, which is more known for hosting football events now. And back in the day, the Olympics made a stop in the U.S. in 1998, and the LA Coliseum was one of the more notable stadiums being used for the Olympics.
I believe it was actually created for that Olympics. Was it not?
Honestly, I have no idea.
I believe
but-
it was built for that, and then it's been used, by the UCLA. The Bruins, I believe, play there.
Oh no, UCS.
Or UCS. Okay.
You were right the first
USC,
time.
yeah, University of Southern California, right? Not
The
UCLA.
USC Trojans,
the
use that
Trojans
now
use that.
for college football. Then for a short period of time, the Los Angeles Rams, when they made their move back into LA, they used that stadium for a few years before they moved into their new home now at the SoFi Stadium, which is now a spaceship. But
The
very
Raiders
interesting
played
to
there,
see.
right?
Yeah, they did back in the day.
when they were in the LA Raiders.
Yes.
And
back in
trophy trucks jump through
I was
that.
just going to touch on that. Yeah.
Jump through that the cutout underneath the torch. Which,
Yeah, back in 2013, which was basically the closest that anyone got to see some sort of racing there, as the stadium trucks went there in 2013. But other than that, it's been used for football, and now we see it come to life for the clash at the Coliseum, which will be something interesting to see, as the track is now on the iRacing server.
Yes, it is, and it is tough. I couldn't get the car out of second gear. It's like
that is
turn,
something-
turn, go straight, turn, go straight. Yeah, this is amazing. It's gonna be interesting. I would love to see how they handle it, but yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see the return of practice and qualifying too. There'll be qualifying heats for that race, and then the main event Sunday night on Fox at 6 p.m. That's something we'll have to keep an eye on, but the hype is building up because after that, 2 weeks later, the Daytona 500, and I'm pretty eager to get back into the NASCAR season.
Duels. Give me my duels.
Duels will actually be 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
That'll be something to keep an eye on both both events at the same time, but
They'll be
very
earlier. They're
interesting.
usually during the daytime. The duels are.
oh no, they're at night.
They are
They
now.
were during the day, but
They
they're
got
they've
scheduled
been
for
at
tonight
night.
now. Huh?
They've been at night ever since 2014.
Ah, see. I was remembering a lot of wrecks last season.
I mean, I enjoy that because then I can watch them at night and not miss them during the school hours. But
Ah,
nonetheless, the NASCAR season is close and we cannot look forward to it. One thing we can look forward to now is this battle for seventh as Delonte Ballard
Little
holding on
loose.
to the seventh spot with Garrett Grant right behind him.
it's not
Now
good for
down low.
Delonte being this far back. He needs to be in the top 3 if he wants to make it to the round of 8.
Yeah, he was running in third at the beginning portion of the race. Now it looks like the grip is starting to fade away from that 21, and you mentioned it, the 5 of Garrett Grant as he completes the pass. He is really good at conserving tires, as we saw last week at Atlanta.
Yeah, he has a win. So he doesn't really have to get it, but we've had 2 sweeps in 3 nights. The only one that did not was Brad Slaughter. He had a very interesting end to his night here at Richmond in the Truck Series. Caught the inside apron and shot to the outside wall and completely caved in that car.
You can hear Tyler Hallman. Tyler Hallman came down pit road about 20 laps ago. He finds himself 12th, 1 lap down. He entered tonight's race only 4 points to the good, and he started inside the top 5. So Tyler Hallman hoping for a yellow to come out, I would imagine, because he is in a bad situation right now.
Yeah, running 22.7 last lap. Looked to be the second slowest. Well, actually, take that back. There was a 23. But not in the top group at all. The top groups are running 22.3, 22.6, and 23 flat, pretty much for Eric Wineland. So, not doing so hot there with only 22 laps on his tires. We'll see what he does, but about 40 laps left.
He just passed the 77 of Jacob Bell for 11th, so now he's 1 spot away from getting into that lucky dog spot. What you see just behind the 21 of Delonte Ballard is the Oops, sorry, I got cut off on my words. So Scott McClendon, but McClendon's.
McClendon is on
I'm
the
gonna
lead
need
lap.
another drink. McClendon is on the lead lap. It's Chris Seidenfein in the 45 that holds that lucky dog spot. We
Yep.
don't see anywhere in the picture the 52 of Tyler Hallman. There he is right now, just behind teammate David Weishart, running second at the moment.
And then from Weishart to Trito is 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds.
So we'll see if that time can be chipped away between the 45 of Sci-Fi and the 52 of Hallman.
Trying to see if I can get there. There's Weishart and Hallman. You see, they're just entering the corner of 1 and 2, as we are actually in 4, as we just saw Seinfeld pass the stripe. So they're about a quarter behind him, a quarter of a track behind him.
If we move back to the leader of Nate Trito, still leading here at Richmond. He got close to hitting that wall there on the front stretch.
Looking to put Ed Robertson down a lap.
Yeah, only 8 drivers on the lead lap, and Ed Robertson being the last of those. We could see 7 drivers on the lead lap in a few laps.
About 3 seconds ahead of him is the 21 of Ballard.
Yeah, Delonte Ballard running in 7th. Still going to be close on points with him. He was 8 points out heading into tonight's race.
Well, right now, Ballard doesn't have it.
Nah.
He needs to be in the top 3. Anything less than top 3, Delonte Ballard is going to be the guy looking on the outside, looking in, and everybody else will advance.
There's Eric Wineland now under battle for 3rd with him and the 18 of Danny Ware. And Danny Ware's having a good night, considering he was only 1 point to the good. And now he's going to complete the pass on the 12. 12 trying to put up a fight. He closes the door on him, though.
30 laps difference, Danny with 30 lap better tires.
Yeah, Eric Wineland, though, doing a really good job staying inside the top 5, even after being passed by the one of Trito. Loose there, coming off turn 2. Just behind those two, you see the 09 and Sensac and the 5 of Grant. That battle is starting to heat up for that 5th spot. Just seems like that's where Bryce Sensac's been running all night, is 5th.
Yeah, pretty close. It was like Ed Robertson. That must have been a little old. I was looking at the thing. It said it was just pitting in. It must have been old.
Just realized Scott McClendon's going to have to come back down pit road because he's 71 laps into his run.
Oh.
So that could open up the door for Tyler Hallman and Jacob Bell to get another spot, which would be another point in the standings.
Yep. Well, Tyler Hallman has an incident point, so he doesn't get that bonus point. So does, and David Weishart also has yielded that as well. And Garrett Heath had 4 incident points, so he would also not get any bonus points for tonight. So, but Jake still has that bonus point that'll help him out, and Delonte Ballard as well. Racing for points. Championships are won by points.
Absolutely. We saw the first year this points format was introduced back in 2014 with Ryan Newman. He didn't win a race all year and then came up 1 spot short of winning the championship. And obviously, you had to win the race to win the championship, as Kevin Harvick would do just that. But still impressive to see that all it would have taken really was 1 win from Ryan Newman to be a champion.
By the way, the points are set up. It doesn't. Harvick didn't have to win the race. He did. He just needed to be in front of the other 3 Final Four cars. So since then we've seen several times where the champion and the race winner do donuts in the front stretch.
I believe in the Cup Series, it's always been the champion as the winner of the race.
Has it really? I thought we had. I'd have to look that up. Chase Elliott won last year at Phoenix?
Chase Elliott did win last year at Phoenix. I think the last time a race was won by a non-playoff driver or a non-champion, probably 2013 with Denny Hamlin.
Oh.
He went winless the entire year until the last race, and Jimmy Johnson would win his 6th championship at the time. But points really matter, regardless of whether it's real life racing or virtual racing here, like we have in the SimSpeedShop Cup Series.
09 on the back of the 12 now, and he's bringing along him Garrett Grant. These 3 guys have been together quite a bit tonight.
I mean, we could see a change of position here at any moment. The 12 of Wineland on the older tires. The 09 and the 5 have much fresher tires, considering that the 12 of Wineland pitted on lap 90.
20 laps left here. Ooh, 5 into the wall. See the sparks fly off the corner. Trito commanding 7.5 second lead here with 20 to go. And they're running about the same laps here. 23 flat for David Weishart, 23.10 for Trito. So a 10th difference between them. Not enough to mess with a 7.5 second lead.
Eric Wineland he's running around the same lap times as Trito and David Weishart. I mean, although he's got older tires, at some point the newer tires do even out.
Yep. So they're going to find a way to get around him, and the 09 diving underneath him here.
Yep, so side by side going into the corner. The 09 of Senesac looking for that 4th spot.
Pinching him down
From
as
the
the 12 going to run off.
Oh, loose there in the back was the 64 of Ed Robertson. Looks like he kept things straight. Almost contact being made here coming off turn 4 with Senesac and Weiland, but Robertson was loose off turn 2, keeps it straight. Still green flag here. I've yet to see a yellow tonight. Meanwhile, we still see the battle and contact now between the 09 and the 12.
Yeah, Eric Wineland kept pushing him down there and cutting down lower and lower, and Senesac just brushed up against him that time to kind of help him to go up the track a little bit and clear him.
Yeah, so now the 09 and the 5 move past the 12 of Wineland. Now the 5 of Garrett Grant looking to hold on to 5th as the 12 trying to make a charge on the bottom. He's still got room down there to try and move his way back up, although with older tires, nearly hitting the quarter panel there of Garrett Grant. I don't see how that can happen.
We'll see how it works here, but definitely he's just letting the car go in a lot deeper than the 5. That's definitely going to put a lot of pressure on that right front tire on the 12.
The 5 had a better turn 2 that time than the 09 of Senesac, although the 09 had a better exit off turn 4 as we see the 77 of Bell now on the pit road. Should be seeing Scott McClendon come in at any given moment. He's on lap 85.
Yep.
Unless he can go all the way to the end. I mean, we've only seen one driver push it past lap 80, and that would be the 12 of Wineland.
That would really mess with my numbers if he can go 100 laps.
Have to keep that in the memory bank for next time then.
Yeah. Jacob Bell on pit lane.
Yeah, so Jacob Bell coming in. He's 3 laps down now. And he entered tonight's race 1 point outside of the top 8. So maybe it's the 77 who could be out. Although with the 23 of Garrett Heath, I don't know. We'll see in the next 10 laps or so. A very tight points battle towards the back part of this playoff picture. We approach 10 to go. Coverage of tonight's SimSpeedShop Cup Series playoffs from Richmond is brought to you by SimSpeedShop. We would like to thank SimSpeedShop for their continuous support of the SimSpeedShop Cup Series this season in Orion. Racers can visit their website at www.simspeedshop.com to find multiple items to complete their virtual racing setup, such as button boxes, wheels, racing gear, and much more. That is www.simspeedshop.com. As it has been race tonight dominated by Nate Trito, as we see the 29 of McClendon now on the pit road. So that could open things up for Tyler Hallman as he moves up a spot. Now will the 77 move past him? Something we'll have to keep an eye on. So he's right behind the 1 now. Nate Trito has just dominated tonight's race. And you can just see the difference in tires. Jacob Bell's got a couple laps on his. Meanwhile, Nate Trito's got 52. So about, I'd say, a 50-lap difference between tires from the 77 and the 1.
Yeah, the Jacob Bell's got almost 50 laps. Yep, pretty close.
And Nate Trito still continuing to log laps and getting the job done. Got a 7-second lead over the 3-car of David Weishart, the highest running driver in the playoffs, as now we move towards the back and just in front of the leader and in front of the 77 of Jacob Bell. The battle for 7th. Ed Robertson right behind the 12 of Weiland, who was passed by Delonte Ballard in the 21. This will be interesting because the 77 has fresher tires than these two. '64 of Robertson there. Nearly hitting the wall coming out of turn 2, and now we see the 77 start to look below the 12 of Weiland going down the front stretch.
5 laps to go here, given to Nate Trito.
Really dominating night from one of Trito's after his controversial move last week, or 2 weeks ago at Charlotte. Was suspended a race by the Orion officials and missed last week's race at Atlanta. And he's coming back in a big way by dominating tonight at Richmond. Although there are 4 laps left, it seems like that 1 car could lock up this win.
I know Weishart's desperately looking for a caution flag to fly.
I believe everyone's desperately looking for a caution.
Just not to be the one in it.
There's a 5 of Garrett Grant running in the 5th spot. He's already locked in, moving on to the next round of the playoffs, which will be at Michigan next week. And then we'll be going to Kansas for the cutoff round there, in which we'll send the top 4 into Phoenix chasing for a championship. The 1 of Nate Trito still working to lead over 6.5 seconds from David Weishart as he comes off turn 4. The white flag in the air. The flagman has never been more excited. 1 to go here at Richmond, presented by 1 to Go Studios. In a race that's gone caution-free, and will go caution-free because now we've taken the white flag. The next flag will be the checkered. And the first driver seeing that will be the 1 of Nate Trito. Absolutely dominating here. So he rolls through 3 and 4 for the final time. Nate Trito will win at Richmond. Then right behind him, you'll see the 3. That's actually just spun out. Victory slide there. David Weishart finishing 2nd. Danny Ware looking to cap off a 3rd place finish. And then at the moment, Bryce Senesac and Garrett Grant still battling for that 4th spot. I believe Grant made a late charge through 3 and 4, but could not do it. So Bryce Senesac will finish 4th, and then finishing 5th will be Garrett Grant. So we see the 1 of Nate Trito celebrating. This is his 3rd win on the year. 1 earlier this year, the Daytona Road Course, and then followed that up by back-to-back wins at Darlington the next week. And he's joined by Delonte Ballard. Looks like dual burnouts and some contact in the middle of those dual burnouts. So Delonte Ballard celebrating the win with his friend Nate Trito. So we'll have to wait for the points to update and see if Delonte Ballard made it into the round of 8. Although I do believe he needed to be inside the top 3 in order to advance. While we sort that out, we'll go ahead and see if we get our top 3 finishers up here. The first of which beating Nate Trito in the number 1, finishing P1. Nate, it's Hunter and Harold in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Man, talk to us about that win and what it meant to you after what happened at Charlotte, being suspended for a week in Atlanta, and then coming back and just absolutely dominating tonight in Richmond.
Yeah, some tomfoolery went down. We're all good. Took our week off and thought about what we did and came back and just put it to him. I think that was what I really wanted to do all week. I showed up last week ready to race, but I misread in Discord that I got suspended for a race. So I was like, all right, I'm going to show up next week and lay it on them. So that's what we did tonight.
I think I said this the last time you were with us after winning at Darlington. Still a blank race car. What's it going to take for you to get some sponsors, man? I mean, this is your 3rd win of the year, and you're not even full time. You're running part time, but really, really hoping to see some sponsorship before that one car.
Yeah, next season I think we'll have somebody on board. But for this year, I think we'll just ride it out and see how many more wins we can get.
All right. Could we see you next week at Michigan? Possibly getting your 4th win of the year.
I think next week I will be actually out of town, and the week following, so I'll miss those 2 races. And if it's the championship race when I come back, I don't know what the schedule is. I probably won't run that just to not mess with those guys. But yeah, if that's the way it goes down, then that's the way it goes down. I'm only running what I can, but yeah, we'll see how it plays out. What race we come back to.
Alrighty, Harold. Any questions for Nate Trito?
Not think he's laid it all out there for us.
So Nate Trito getting the win here tonight at Richmond. Any shout-outs you want to give out before you go?
Y'all for the broadcast, the boys for putting the league on. A lot of fun. Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Alrighty, Nate. Have a good night.
Y'all too, boys.
All right, that was the one of Nate Trito getting the win. And then right behind, we got 2nd place driver David Weisstar. David, this is Hunter Harold in the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah.
Boy, it seems like you were second fiddle tonight to Nate Trito, but nonetheless, you're still out of Fast Northern Capital number 3, putting that car in P2, and 99.9% sure you're moving on to the round of 8. Talk to us what that race was like and what we could see going forward in the next handful of races.
Well, tonight's race was tiring. My eyes were crossing the last 30 laps there. It's I'm sweating a little bit. I'm sure my face is a little red, but good Lord, that was tough. To go green like that at Richmond, my arms hurt, so no break. But I'm glad it's over with. Glad to come out with a P2 on that. And then as far as the round, the next round, it seems pretty straightforward. I think we got Michigan and then Kansas, so I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to, I mean, I like short tracks, but looking forward to the second round being a little more familiar.
Yeah, you mentioned familiar. The last 2-mile track that we went to was Auto Club. Now, what are the differences in racing at Michigan than racing at Auto Club?
Oh, just Auto Club's just worn out and bumpy, and you really gotta you really gotta hit your lines, because if you're off by a couple feet, you'll hit a bump and it'll ruin your whole corner. So Michigan's not quite like that. It's a little bit smoother. It's typically one lane. It's usually around the bottom or the lane up. So in the Cup car, it could. In the Cup car, it tends to have a lot of train racing. So hopefully we get a good race, but we'll see.
Well, what do you think about turn 2? It's been, for so far the playoffs, all divisions seem to be having an issue with the condition off of 2. And as a driver, I know turn 2 at Michigan likes to get really, really, like go from that ultra wide turn to the coming off that corner. That wall comes back down quick.
Yeah, especially in these cup cars, you got to really take that really wide entry into the corner and kind of angle your corner off. And with the way the aero tightness is in these cars, it's real easy if you don't hit it right, or if you catch the wrong air at the wrong time, it could shove you into that wall. It comes up quick on you, but hopefully people get enough, they can get some practice in, and we can avoid all that.
All right, well, we'll see if you can avoid that and guarantee yourself a spot in the championship 4 here in the next couple of weeks. Any shout-outs you want to give out before you go?
Yeah, I just want to thank SimSpeedShop for sponsoring the series, and Russ Anderson and Northern Capital for doing what they do for us here at Samson. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think all of us got in to the next round, so happy to see that. Thank you all for broadcasting and the admins for everything they do. I know it was a pretty easy night for Gary up there tonight, so hope he enjoyed that, and thanks for everybody watching.
All righty, well, we thank you for continuing to put on a show for us, and hoping for the best for the next couple of weeks. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was second place finisher David Weiss. All right, now we'll bring in our third place finisher, Danny Ware. Danny, this is Hunter and Harold in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Boy, had a rough go in Atlanta. Entered tonight's race only 1 point to the good. I would assume this third place finish would help improve your spot at making it to the round of 8, although points are not updated as of yet. But nonetheless, a solid run for you. You were battling for 5th, it seems like, for half the race between you and Bryce Senesac, but found your way inside the top 3. Take us through your night.
I basically just started out like I was gonna ride the whole race and try to save as much tire as I could, because I don't know if you noticed, but after a while everybody was just loose coming off the corner, and my whole plan was just to keep the tire under me all race. And I thought I was just gonna finish maybe a top 10, and somehow I got third. I don't know how I ended up here, but that's how it ended up playing out.
Well, I'll have to tell you, though, the points did come out, and drivers out are Ballard, Hendricks, Patterson, and Hearn. Everyone else moving forward.
Oh, so we're trying to get the Lion tonight. It kind of sucks he missed it, but
He missed it by 1 point.
wow. That's tough for him. I'm sorry about that.
By
We
1
were
point.
we're all trying to make him get in tonight, but yeah, that's how it plays out sometimes.
All right, so now that we got that out of the way, you're definitely moving on to the round of 8. What's it going to take for you to make it to the round of 4? Because we got Michigan next week, and then we got Kansas a mile and a half the week after that. What are those 2 tracks going to be like for you?
I honestly, I have no clue. I probably ran Michigan probably once, and I don't remember how that went. But Kansas, I seem to be pretty consistent at, but I'm just gonna have to finish top 5 probably the next couple of races in order to make it to round 4.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at the points, but nonetheless, you moved up 4 spots. I was just looking at you moved up 4 spots, the most out of anyone after tonight's race. So congrats on that. Congrats on moving to the round of 8 and on the third place finish. Are there any shout-outs you want to give out before you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Roderick Racing Development, Elwood Designs, Alan Elwood for everything he does for us, and VRA, all the guys, Brad, everybody. You guys in the booth, I'd like to thank Jacob Bell for putting area on, and basically all the other drivers that make this happen.
Alrighty, well, we gonna let you go here, and we're thankful of you to spend your time up here and providing us for some interesting battles on the racetrack. Hoping for the best moving forward. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too, guys.
All right, that was Danny Ware, your third place finishers. We'll get our finishing results here for the Love and Life in Virginia 180. Nate Trudeau was definitely Love and Life tonight in Richmond, Virginia. He led the most laps, led about 153, I believe, and just dominated the field. Won tonight. David Weissart finished second, Danny Ware third, Bryce Senesac fourth, and Garrett Grant rounding out the top 5. Delonte Ballard was 1 point away from being in a tie with Jacob Bell. Just that close, moving into the round of 8. So he comes home P6, Ed Robertson 7th, Eric Wineland 8th after going 90 laps between his pit stop, only 1 pit stop. Then right behind him, Chris Steinfeld in 9th, and Tyler Hallman rounding out the top 10.
Yeah,
And right. Oh, go on.
I'll take 11 through 16. Scott McClendon, Jacob Bell, both 2 laps down. Christian Boer, 3 laps down. Heath, 101 laps back. Jordan Martin with the disconnect, 125. And Brad Slaughter, don't think he even took a lap.
No, he disconnected. He couldn't connect to the start.
And we got a race recap.
Yep, a race recap presented by Elwood Designs, which big shout out to Alan Elwood, and Elwood Designs getting a big recognition from Lefty Designs on Twitter, one of the more notable guys on NASCAR Twitter and just in graphic design in general. Had a shout out from him, so big props to Alan Elwood, who provides us for our graphics, and I almost nailed it with the laps left from Nate Trita, 154 out of the 180 laps. 0 cautions tonight, went caution-free with 16 drivers, although 15 made it to the start. And Bryce Senesac had the fastest lap with a 21.722. So we wrap things up here from Richmond. Harold, any final thoughts before we move forward to the round of 8?
Round of 8 going to be basically 2 decent-sized tracks and then to a unique Phoenix. You know, our Phoenix is kind of, one of them more unique style track. Not quite a 1.5 and not quite a short track, but kind of somewhere in between.
Yeah, it is somewhere in between, and especially after the reconfiguration from moving the start-finish line to just before you can make it basically 6 wide down through the dogleg. It'll be something to keep an eye on as we move forward. But we got 2 races to settle in between Phoenix, and that is starting next week at Michigan, which all 4 series will be starting their round of 8, in which you can find our next broadcast Monday night on the Araya Twitch channel with the SimSpeedShop. Oh, sorry. Got ahead of myself. The Swift Lifestyle Pro Series Monday night at 8:40, followed by Northern Capital Truck Series Tuesday night, then the Lodgebox Series Wednesday night, and then a week from tonight, week from tonight, the SimSpeedShop Cup Series will go to Michigan to kick off their round of 8. And that's going to do it in the booth. From executive producer Harold Darner, I'm Hunter Sleppy saying so long, and we'll see you on Monday.
What an exciting race brought to you by Wendigo Studios. Here they come out of turn 4 to the white flag, and it's 1 to go. Thank you to all our sponsors, drivers, and viewers. We'll see you at the next turn.